Good morning. Here is your global news report for April 24, 2026. The international landscape is currently complex, with rising tensions in the Middle East due to the Iran war and the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. These conflicts are directly impacting the global economy through jet fuel shortages and international economic repercussions. Simultaneously, competition between the United States and China is intensifying across various fronts, including allegations of Chinese espionage, diplomatic pressure concerning Taiwan, and technological competition in the electric vehicle market, all of which are prompting a reshaping of the international order. The situation in the Middle East is tense due to the Iran war, with US President Trump issuing a shoot-to-kill order against mine-laying vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has seized vessels in the strait and demands the lifting of port blockades. This conflict has doubled jet fuel prices, leading to the cancellation of European flights and economic disruption, with oil prices exceeding $100 per barrel. The Russia-Ukraine conflict continues, with reports of drone attacks by Ukraine on Russia. The EU has launched its 20th sanctions package against Russia, targeting companies and individuals in the energy and maritime sectors. Concurrently, with Hungary lifting its veto, the EU has approved a €90 billion, approximately $105.3 billion, loan to Ukraine, highlighting the economic aspects of the conflict. The US and China continue their geopolitical and economic competition. A US congressional hearing raised concerns that Chinese spies are exploiting the US visa system. In China, AI is influencing capital inflows into Hong Kong stocks, and EV manufacturers are posing technological challenges to BMW and Mercedes-Benz, showcasing premium EVs. Furthermore, China is reportedly pressuring African nations to prevent visits by the Taiwanese president, an action the US has condemned. Next, here are the key stories from the US. Military tensions with Iran remain in a stalemate, while domestic consolidation and bailouts of major corporations are progressing. The non-disclosure of vaccine research by the CDC has also become a focal point. President Trump, amidst a stalemate in peace talks with Iran, ordered the firing upon and sinking of small Iranian boats obstructing U.S. vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, extending the ceasefire. The U.S. also seized another tanker involved in the illicit smuggling of Iranian crude oil. Paramount's $110 billion acquisition offer for Warner Bros. Discovery is expected to be approved, while Spirit Airlines narrowly avoided operational suspension due to financial issues by receiving a $500 million bailout from the federal government. A CDC study indicated that COVID-19 vaccines reduced emergency room visits and hospitalizations by approximately half in the past autumn and winter, but the CDC director reportedly blocked the publication of these findings. Next, here are the key stories from Europe. In Northern Ireland, discussions have arisen regarding £50 million in defence investment, and in the UK, a major lobbying firm has gone bankrupt due to significant debt. Additionally, an art festival themed around anarchism was held in Portugal, showcasing diverse activities across Europe. Northern Ireland's First Minister, Michelle O'Neill, questioned the government's investment of £50 million, approximately €9.7 billion, in the region's defence sector, stating, "There should have been more effective uses for this money." Global Counsel, a UK lobbying firm co-founded by Peter Mandelson, has gone bankrupt with debts of £4.5 million, approximately €870 million, owed to creditors, and also owed £645,789, approximately €120 million, to HM Revenue and Customs. An art festival themed around anarchism was held in the 17th-century Santa Clara a Nova convent in Coimbra, Portugal, featuring installations of lamentations sung in Albanian, Chinese, and other languages. Next, here are the key stories from the Middle East. Military tensions between Iran and the US in the Strait of Hormuz are escalating, although possibilities for a ceasefire extension and renewed negotiations have also been indicated. The region is witnessing diverse developments, including expectations of investment inflows into Saudi Arabia's bond market and pressure on Hezbollah to disarm in Lebanon. Iran seized two foreign flight container ships attempting to exit the Strait of Hormuz on Wednesday and fired upon a third vessel. This is seen as retaliation for the U.S. Navy's seizure of the Iranian container ship Tuska on Monday. U.S. President Trump, at Pakistan's request, has extended the fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran, suggesting that a second round of talks could occur within days. JP Morgan announced that it will include Saudi Arabia's local currency-denominated bonds in the Global Emerging Markets Bond Index in early 2027, raising expectations of significant capital inflows into the country and its economic reforms. Next, here are the key stories from Russia. Russia is facing government searches in Dagestan and drone attacks from Ukraine. Putin has defended internet shutdowns. Despite EU sanctions, energy diplomacy is being strengthened, with the resumption of fiscal rules due to high oil prices. Government agencies, including the Ministry of Natural Resources, were searched in Dagestan following illegal construction permits that exacerbated recent flood damage, which resulted in 7 deaths and over 6,200 evacuations. At least 3 people were killed in drone attacks by Ukraine on Russian territory, with industrial facilities targeted in Samara Oblast. President Putin defended domestic mobile internet shutdowns as necessary measures against terrorist attacks. The Russian Ministry of Finance announced the resumption of foreign currency and gold purchases and sales under fiscal rules starting in May. The EU approved its 20th sanctions package against Russia's energy and maritime sectors, adding 36 companies and 46 vessels to the sanctions list. Indonesia has agreed to receive up to 150 million barrels of crude oil supply from Russia. Next, here are the key stories from China. High-end EVs are challenging European brands, and AI-related investment from mainland China into Hong Kong stocks has slowed. Concerns have also been raised in the US about the misuse of the US visa system by Chinese spies, indicating multifaceted developments in economy, finance, and international relations. China's high-end EV manufacturers are beginning to challenge European makers like BMW and Mercedes-Benz through technological prowess, as showcased at the world's largest automotive exhibition held in Beijing. Capital inflows from mainland China into Hong Kong stocks have slowed, analyzed as a result of the increasing availability of pure-play AI-related investment options on both mainland and Hong Kong exchanges. Concerns were raised during a U.S. congressional hearing that the U.S. visa system is rolling out the red carpet for Chinese spies. In China, AI is influencing capital inflows into Hong Kong stocks, and EV manufacturers are posing technological challenges to BMW and Mercedes-Benz, showcasing premium EVs. Furthermore, China is reportedly pressuring African nations to prevent visits by the Taiwanese president, an action the U.S. has condemned. Next, here are the key stories from Japan. Domestically, Marubeni has launched an energy-saving service for AI data centers, and Tohoku University has announced groundbreaking research on Alzheimer's disease. Additionally, as part of Japan-US cooperation, investment from Japan to the US totaling approximately 250 billion yen has been decided. Marubeni, in partnership with a Spanish startup, has launched a service to reduce electricity consumption in generative AI data centers by up to 80%, supporting the adoption of generative AI by domestic companies. As the first phase of the $550 billion, approximately 88 trillion yen, investment in the U.S. agreed upon in Japan-U.S. tariff negotiations, the Japan Bank for International Cooperation, JBSE, and 3 major banks plan to finance approximately 250 billion yen across 3 projects. A research team at Tohoku University has discovered that memory impairment in Alzheimer's disease is caused by a deficiency of the neurotransmitter dopamine in the brain, indicating the potential use of the existing drug levodopa for symptom improvement. Next, here are the key stories from the Asia-Oceania region. China's pressure on Taiwan's diplomacy, South Korea's policy change regarding escalator usage, and China's flying car development plan are among the geopolitical, social, and technological developments being reported. The U.S. has condemned China for pressuring African nations to prevent diplomatic travel by the Taiwanese president, including a visit to Eswatini. Chinese EV manufacturer XPeng has announced that it will begin deliveries of flying cars in 2027 and has already received over 7,000 orders. South Korea's Ministry of the Interior and Safety is preparing a nationwide campaign urging citizens to stand on both sides of escalators, abandoning the custom of leaving one side clear. The U.S. has condemned China for pressuring African nations to prevent diplomatic travel by the Taiwanese president, including a visit to Eswatini. Chinese EV manufacturer XPeng has announced that it will begin deliveries of flying cars in 2027 and has already received over 7,000 orders. Next, here are the key stories from South America. Brazil's online gaming market is experiencing rapid growth,
Argentina is attracting global investors, and Uruguay is advancing as a financial hub.
Meanwhile, drug trafficking organizations involved in money laundering have been busted in Chile, showcasing a day where economic revitalization and security maintenance coexist. Brazil's regulated online gaming market has grown significantly in the 15 months since its launch, with total gaming revenue projected to reach approximately 37 billion Brazilian reais in 2025 and tax revenue in January 2026 alone reaching about 1.5 billion Brazilian reais. Over 75 licensed operators and nearly 140 brands are active. In Argentina, tech magnate Peter Thiel, co-founder of Palantir and PayPal, met with President Javier Milei. Additionally, Argentine Senator Patricia Bullrich visited Uruguay, criticizing the country's cannabis legalization policy and advocating for stricter security policies. Brazil's BTG Pactual, Latin America's largest investment bank, acquired HSBC Uruguay for $175 million, advancing Uruguay's position as a regional financial hub. Meanwhile, in Chile, a drug trafficking organization involved in money laundering Fort Tren de Aragua was busted, revealing that over approximately $4.4 million had been sent abroad via cryptocurrency. That concludes today's Global News Report. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.